So I played chess for some reason, and a couple days ago I had a game that was so bad that I feel the need to share it for some reason. e4, c6 the Karogan defense, opponent goes knight f3 because they forget they were supposed to go here, d5, e5 advanced variation except this pawn isn't here. I move my bishop out of the way before blocking it in with e6 and opponent plays d4. Now here my 600 elo brain kicks in. The move c5 in the advanced Karogan was recommended in a course sample that I was studying before, so I figured if I play it now, I might get a position that is somehow familiar. So I play it and now I'm losing. It took 4 moves, great. Now my opponent wants to trade bishops, I accept because why not. Then I develop my knight and opponent plays c3. c3 was actually the first lesson in the course sample I was studying, except now this queen is here and our bishops are dead. I play e6 because it was played in like every line of the course sample and it's probably just good. Opponent jumps the knight to the edge of the board for God knows what reason. At this point I see that my king side isn't developed at all and I really don't wanna castle queen side because of this. If I play knight here, my castle is going to end up with a hole in its ceiling. If I move with knight here, I lose it, so I play knight e7 and knight g6. Opponent gives his king some breathing room, and here I actually managed to play the top engine move c4, attacking the queen. Unfortunately, my opponent realizes that his queen is hanging and moves it out of the way. Unlucky. I see all of these pieces potentially attacking my king side and I really don't like that. So my plan is to go there with the bishop supported by the pawn and probably trade some pieces. But see this knight here, attacking nothing on the edge of the board. Well, the computer says that it has to die and wants this. Why? Well, I don't fucking know. So I go on and execute my original plan. They say that having a bad plan in chess is better than having no plan at all, but the computer disagrees. Opponent takes a pawn and here the computer wants knight f4 supported by the pawn. Instead, I do this, which is basically the same thing, and now it's like +8. Opponent takes another pawn. I could recapture with the pawn, but it would leave the pawn very weak and isolated. I could take with the knight, but that would lose my pawn too and maybe get queens traded, I don't know. Instead, I take with the queen and blunder a triple fork to the knight that has not been doing anything the entire game. Here my opponent realizes that his knight is under attack and it can actually attack back with check and plays knight d6, forking the king and the pawn. Nice. I move with my king and my opponent attacks my queen. My queen is actually almost trapped. It has one legal move that doesn't lose it. Here the computer wants knight d4. That hangs a queen. Yeah, but if he takes its mate, lol. Of course, me being 600, I can't play that because I would get reported for cheating, so instead I go here and now it's like +10. My opponent starts destroying my setup, but here I actually spot knight d4. Not because I thought it's a mate, but I realized that the queen can take back because it would be a fork, not realizing that the fork would actually be a mate. Oops. Now, my opponent is an absolute chess gamer and doesn't fall for my trick. Instead, I get a triple fork with my knight, he takes my knight, I take his rook. Here, if you are 600, you just take the knight and get mated, right? Like that's how chess is played at this level. Instead, my opponent has taken such strong vitamins that he realizes that in this position there is something far juicier than a knight. Yeah, I'm fucked. Opponent jumps in with queen f7 and at this point I just need to run around and hope to avoid mates like it's real life. Mate in 1, mate in 3, mate in 2, mate in 1, mate in 3, free pawn yoink. After my king has made more moves than probably all my other pieces combined, my opponent has me completely cornered. Here, my opponent wants to bully me to the ground by forcing me to trade my queen for the knight. Queen takes knight, it's the only legal move in the position. And now I'm just dead. But I am a fair player, so I gave my opponent the same chance. I traded my queen for your knight, do you wanna do the same? My opponent refused and got mated by rook h2.